83 people died, 120 more were injured, one driver killed instantly, all in under 10 seconds. June 11, 1955. The 24 Hours of Le Mans. 6:26 p.m. A Mercedes-Benz 300 SLR, traveling at 150 miles per hour, hit the back of an Austin Healey, launched into the air, somersaulted 80 meters, slammed into an earthen embankment, and disintegrated. The engine block, the heaviest part of the car, flew nearly 100 meters into the crowd. Then, the magnesium body caught fire, white-hot flames, temperatures so intense, they melted spectators, jewelry. The fire burned for hours because water made it worse. Magnesium burns hotter when you add water. This is the deadliest accident in motorsport history. Not close, not comparable, nothing else comes near these numbers. The car was beautiful. The Mercedes 300 SLR was the fastest sports car in the world. It had won the Mille Miglia 2 months earlier. Stirling Moss set a record that still stands. The car was brilliant engineering, revolutionary design, a masterpiece. And it killed 83 people in 10 seconds. The Mercedes-Benz 300 SLR, internal designation W196S, built for the 1955 World Sports Car Championship. This wasn't a production car, this was a race car derived from Mercedes Formula One chassis. They took the W196 Formula One car that won the 1954 championship with Juan Manuel Fangio and modified it for endurance racing. The engine, a 3.0-litre straight-8 making 302 horsepower at 500 revolutions per minute. For 1955, that was massive power. The displacement was increased from the 2.5-litre Formula One engine. Bosch mechanical direct fuel injection, desmodromic valves, a Mercedes innovation where cams controlled both opening and closing without springs. This let the engine rev to 500 revolutions per minute reliably. The chassis, tubular steel space frame weighing just 50 kilograms, the frame itself weighed 110 pounds. Engineers brazed steel tubes together for strength and lightness. The body, ultra-lightweight electron magnesium alloy, this is where the problems started. Magnesium has a relative density of 1.8. Iron is 7.8. Magnesium is less than a quarter the weight of iron. The entire car weighed 901 kilograms, or 986 pounds. That's lighter than a modern Honda Civic. But magnesium has a problem. It burns. At relatively low temperatures, around 800 degrees Fahrenheit, magnesium ignites in oxygen. Once it starts burning, water makes it worse. The reaction produces hydrogen gas and increases the temperature. Mercedes knew this. They used magnesium anyway because weight was everything. A lighter car meant faster lap times, better fuel economy, less tire wear. The 300 SLR was the fastest sports car in the world. Top speed, 186 miles per hour. The brakes, inboard drum brakes, not disc brakes. The rival Jaguar D-Type had disc brakes. Mercedes, stuck with drums. They added an air brake, a large panel behind the driver that could be raised hydraulically to increase drag. Alfred Neubauer, the team manager, wanted this for Le Mans specifically because the track required hard braking lap after lap. June 11, 1955. 83 cars started the 24 Hours of Le Mans. Mercedes entered 300 SLRs. Jaguar entered multiple D-types. Ferrari was there. Aston Martin. Maserati. The best teams in the world. Mercedes team manager Alfred Neubauer paired his best drivers, Juan Manuel Fangio and Stirling Moss, in the lead car. Carl Kling partnered with André Simon in the second car. The third car, Pierre Levert and John Fitch. Pierre Levert was 49 years old. Born Pierre Bouillet, he changed his name to honor his uncle, a racing driver who died in 1904. Levert had driven for 23 straight hours in the 1952 Le Mans race, leading the entire time. He lost in the final hour due to engine failure from a missed gear change, caused by exhaustion. Mercedes hired him as a factory driver in 1955, partly because of that determination. John Fitch, his American co-driver, later wrote that Levert had a habitually solemn demeanor and a general air of deep reflection. Levert confided to Fitch before the race that he felt uncomfortable in the 300 SLR. He wore an oversized crash helmet, the type used by American fighter pilots, for special protection. The race was fast. Lap records fell repeatedly. Eugenio Castellotti's Ferrari hit an average speed of 118.56 miles per hour during practice. Fangio reached 181.57 miles per hour on the Mulsanne straight. By lap 35, after 2.5 hours of racing, the first pit stops were coming due. Mercedes was competitive, Jaguar was fast, the race was close. Then everything went wrong. 6:26 p.m. End of lap 35. Mike Hawthorn, driving a Jaguar D-Type, was leading. He'd just lapped Pierre Levay's Mercedes. He'd also lapped Lance Macklin's Austin Healey 3 times already. Hawthorn overtook Macklin's Austin Healey on the approach to the pit straight. Macklin was traveling at about 135 miles per hour. He saw the green Jaguar and silver Mercedes in his mirror and moved right to let them pass. Then Hawthorn, who'd just received the signal to pit, slammed on his brakes, hard. The Jaguar D-Type had disc brakes. They stopped the car much faster than drum brakes. Macklin, directly behind Hawthorn, had no time to react. He slammed on his brakes. The Austin Healey had drum brakes. It couldn't stop as fast as the Jaguar. Macklin swerved left across the center of the track to avoid hitting Hawthorn. He didn't see Pierre Levay approaching from behind at 150 miles per hour. Leving had no time to react. His right front wheel rode up onto the left rear corner of Macklin's Austin Healey. The Austin Healey's body design featured a long, ramp-like rear. It acted as a launch ramp. The 300 SLR went airborne. It soared toward the left side of the track. It cleared an earthen embankment, the only barrier between spectators and the track. The car was 80 meters in the air, somersaulting end over end. Parts separated. The hood flew off. The front axle tore away. The engine mounts failed. The engine block, weighing over 500 pounds, broke free. Pierre Levay was thrown from the car on the third roll. He landed on the track, his skull crushed on impact, dead instantly. The remains of the 300 SLR crashed into the spectator area. The engine block and other heavy components flew into the crowd, traveling nearly 100 meters. People were crushed, cut in half, decapitated. The fuel tank ruptured. The magnesium body was already damaged and hot. It ignited. Magnesium burns white hot. The fire spread across the wreckage. Spectators caught in the flames burned alive. The fire was so intense, it melted jewelry and watches off victims' bodies. Emergency crews tried to extinguish the flames with water. That made it worse. Magnesium reacts with water, producing hydrogen gas and increasing the burn temperature. The fire raged for hours. The official death toll, 83 people, including Pierre Levay. Some sources say 84. The exact number was never confirmed because many bodies were incinerated beyond identification. 120 to 178 people were injured. The range varies because records from 1955 are incomplete. The race continued. Officials decided to keep racing to prevent spectators from fleeing and blocking roads needed by ambulances. Mike Hawthorn kept driving. The Jaguar team kept racing. At midnight, 8 hours after the crash, Mercedes-Benz withdrew both remaining cars from the race. Alfred Neubauer made the decision. Mercedes was leading by a lap. They were going to win. They pulled out anyway. Jaguar won. Mike Hawthorn and Ivor Bueb crossed the finish line first. A photographer captured Hawthorn smiling on the podium, drinking champagne. The French magazine L'Auto-Journal published it with the caption, "À votre santé, Monsieur Hawthorn." To your health, Mr. Hawthorn. The backlash was immediate. Multiple countries banned motorsports. Switzerland banned circuit racing entirely. That ban lasted until 2022, 67 years later. Mercedes-Benz pulled out of all motorsports. Factory teams withdrew from Formula One, sports car racing, everything. Mercedes didn't return to racing until 1985, 30 years later. Bristol Cars, a small British firm that finished 1-2-3 in the 2-litre class that day, abandoned racing permanently. They scrapped all but one of their race cars. John Fitch, Leveg's co-driver, became a safety advocate. He spent decades researching automotive safety. Some of his work advanced modern motorsport safety standards. Mercedes team manager Alfred Neubauer never fully recovered. The disaster haunted him for the rest of his life. Who caused the crash? Debates continue 70 years later. Lance Macklin claimed Mike Hawthorn's sudden move to the pits caused an emergency. Macklin had to swerve to avoid hitting Hawthorn. Mike Hawthorn blamed Macklin for swerving across the track without checking his mirrors. Juan Manuel Fangio, driving directly behind Levay, said Hawthorn pulled in front of the Austin Healey rather violently. Some blamed Pierre Levay for not reacting quickly enough. Critics said he wasn't competent enough to handle the 300 SLR at racing speeds. Others blamed the track design. The Circuit de la Sarthe had a pinch point where the pit straight narrowed. Cars were traveling at maximum speed, approaching a narrow section with minimal runoff. A BBC documentary in 2009 argued the track design was the primary cause. The official investigation blamed no one. French authorities determined it was a racing incident. No criminal charges were filed. The truth: multiple factors combined. Hawthorne braked suddenly, Macklin swerved, Levy had no time to react, the track had inadequate safety barriers, the Austin Healey's body design acted as a ramp, the magnesium construction turned a crash into an inferno, and the drum brakes on the Mercedes couldn't stop as fast as the disc brakes on the Jaguar. The 1955 Le Mans disaster killed 83 people. It remains the deadliest accident in motorsport history. Nothing else is close. The crash changed racing forever. Tracks installed proper barriers. Safety regulations were written. Manufacturers stopped using magnesium for body panels. Disc brakes became standard. Fire-resistant fuel cells were developed. Mercedes-Benz didn't race for 30 years. When they returned in 1985, they focused on Formula One. They eventually returned to Le Mans in 1999 with the CLR, which had its own problems with airborne crashes. One of the 300 SLR Uhlenhaut Coupés, a closed cockpit version built after the disaster, sold at auction in 2022 for €135 million, $142 million. It's the most expensive car ever sold. The racing 300 SLRs were destroyed or hidden away. Mercedes doesn't display them publicly. The car that killed 83 people isn't celebrated. Pierre Levy is buried in Père Lachaise Cemetery in Paris. A memorial plaque at Le Mans honors the victims. Every year before the race, officials hold a moment of silence. That's the real story of the 1955 Mercedes 300 SLR. Revolutionary engineering, record-breaking performance, and 83 people dead in 10 seconds.